Hello there, and welcome to my review of Star Wars Clone Wars. Volume 1 was basically Season 1. This cartoon was shot shortly after Attack of Clones, and really revitalized some of the Star Wars fans. Each episode basically told a chronological story of what was happening throughout the war. It was entertaining since it was a cartoon, 2D animation. Some of the combative styles were far-fetched. The Force seemed to be this very powerful ability. They're knocking down spaceships from the skies, picking up huge boulders, destroying entire droids with one fell swoop. They took advantage of the 2D medium to make it more exciting for the viewers to see things that wouldn't be done in live action, or what happened in 3D animation. They put a cap on the power. However, in the 2D animation, there was no cap. You would see the Force being used in ridiculous ways, or not ridiculous ways. Everything had already been done before, but over the top. A Force push would destroy an entire army. However, that was actually enjoyable to watch because it gave us some action, some excitement. It was 2D. There's only so much you could do, so they went over the top with that. And the story of Volume 1, basically, of course, is primarily Anakin and Obi-Wan. It always will be, because they were bouncing off of the end of Attack of the Clones, which basically followed Obi-Wan's individual story and Anakin's individual story. They decided to do that here as well. And it was terribly exciting to follow. You see clones doing ridiculous assaults. You see clips of them even now, of them destroying entire droid facilities by themselves, when you know that wouldn't happen prior. You know that the clones were just as folly as the droids sometimes. They weren't as skilled. What made them better was the fact that they could think on their feet. But I did not mind that so. It was enjoyable to actually watch a story which seemed to be coherently thought through and coherently follow a linear path to its objective. It started right after Attack of the Clones, where the war disperses like fire spread throughout the galaxy, as Yoda says at the beginning, as it begins to introduce each individual aspect. Count Dooku, him seeking an apprentice, who, of course, didn't last long, and the new series ended up making her a common occurrence. This one got rid of her within the first season, I guess you would call it. Volume 1. They got rid of her. The problem with the animation was the fact that Anakin seemed to be too angry all the time. The second he was told no, instead of making him seem just like upset, they made him look angry. And it's very easy to give away story and how it's going to flow if you're going to just show a character flat out getting mad if he's told no. But in the end, it was enjoyable to follow. You got to see the action. You got to basically see jousting in some of the scenes as Obi-Wan fights Dirge. They bring in their own speeder bikes and they each have a lance. All their men have lances and they're basically jousting with one another, trying to knock each other off their speeders. That kind of aspect of Star Wars always seemed humorous, especially in the Clone Wars, as they introduced things that seemed to be very barbaric. A lance served no purpose. In one of the scenes, it's hilarious, as the droids are on their speeder bikes driving past the clones, they're throwing mines onto the clone ships. Then you begin to wonder, what's the point of the lance if you have guns, if you have mines? Why do you need the lance? It was just for the look of it. And it's humorous to watch. You see the ridiculous nature coming forth in that. It had a clear thought. It knew where it was going with the story. It wanted to introduce you to characters, remove characters, and then show you a big reveal at the end of Volume 1 as to who was going to be the main focus for the next volume. It basically ends with showing General Grievous as he is fighting several Jedi. And because this series was so over the top, it had some of the greatest lightsaber fights ever. Because you see the Jedis, the Sith even, jumping around, flying through the air, fighting. And it's humorous, this kind of shot style, as you see the clones trying to free a city. They are bombarding this city. They are destroying buildings, blowing them up, just firing blindly into the city, destroying it all, in order to try to take down the Trade Federation, in order to try to control that system. I found it rather humorous as I was watching. It was just like building after building was collapsing just so they could take down the Trade Federation. And you don't do that to free a people. So I found that rather interesting to watch and go like, yeah, that doesn't really seem to be a good thing for the good guys to be doing. But because this Star Wars came out at the time it did, because it happened right after Attack of the Clones and gave most of us hope, rejuvenated us, and gave us hope for the third one, which turned out to be a masterpiece, this Clone Wars is still my favorite Clone Wars series. Sure, it was more ridiculous, as I said before, with how it went about using the Force, with how it was destroying every single building, not taking in consideration of the people who lived on that planet. Star Wars Clone Wars is worth the watch. Volume 1 is an hour and 9 minutes long. It's worth it to basically see a humorous interpretation of what was happening during the Clone Wars. It's more humorous at this point after we have Clone Wars that came out. Thank you all for watching, and I'll talk to you next time. Toodles!